Hi, welcome if you just came on. It's Larissa and Rosie, the duo.
Hi.
And you can just hang tight and we'll wait till a couple minutes after 9 to start. So I am going to mute myself. Hi, and welcome everyone to the Google Classroom Intro webinar. We're glad you made it. This is our, we're just starting out with webinars and combining it with the e-learning classes. So it's fun for us. We're trying different types of webinars. So this time, since you're in e-learning, we hope you have your screen set up so you can see the webinar and then the discussion board side by side. My name is Larissa Uceda, and Rosie is here with me. And we could bring up our mugshots, but do you want to say hi?
Hi, my name is Rosie Castle.
And we're going to have you start out by in the discussion board. And Rosie has already done this. It will show your name. So if you can just type a quick hello and what school you work at, that would be great. This discussion board is a little bit different. Whenever you have a question throughout the webinar, you can just type it, and we're just using the title box. And there won't be any replies. We'll reply to those questions orally. And you'll also see the feed going. So if you want to go ahead and just type hello in that title box, and then the name of your school. And we'll just sit tight for another minute till we get a couple more people on. Are you guys ready for Google Classroom? We're excited. We've been preparing. We have been teaching a lot of Google Classroom, but we keep evolving on how we teach it. So I think this type is going to be the most successful. Okay, let's just see who we have viewers. So if you're just logging on, if you can just, I see that you pressed play, and so you're watching the webinar. You probably see our screen here, hopefully. And then you can click on that same screen, the webinar Q&A. And so you'll have that discussion board and kind of move it over to the right-hand side. And then just go ahead and in the discussion board, you're going to click a new thread and type hello and your school. Okay, and we'll wait about another minute and then we'll get started. Okay, so we're going to get started. Throughout the webinar, again, if you have any questions, just type them into that Q&A. We'll have one spot or two spots where you will type a notice or wonder in that Q&A, and we're just using that title box, so it will be easy to read the feed. So let's get started on Google Classroom. So Google Classroom, and basically I just want to step back. Recently this year, the district has kind of embraced Google Apps, and we have Chromebook initiatives in probably about 10 to 12 schools where they have carts or just Chromebooks. And that has then turned into every district employee, actually every employee has a district Google account. So all teachers and students have a Google account. Now, if it's not a Chromebook school, maybe those teachers and students haven't used it yet, which is totally fine, and that's why we're getting the word out. You do not need to be a Chromebook school to use the Google Docs, the Google Apps, and Google Classroom. So the teacher logon, again, the teacher logon is your employee ID and then at rcsd121.org. And the password changes with your district password. So the minute you change your district password, your Google account, which is your Gmail account, your anything you sign into Google is your new district password. As far as students, it's the same email address. So when they log on, their username or their email is their full 890 account ID, and then the same rcsd121 or 121.org. If a student has never changed their password on a district PC, they can just use their default password, which is their birthday. Okay, a little background before we get started. So let's jump in. What is Google Classroom? Google Classroom, and this will show all of this throughout the webinar. It's an easy way to assign and collect work. You can organize your assignments and communicate with students. It does the document sharing for you, the file naming, and the organization. It is very easy to use. It's a one-stop shop. You have everything there for you. And it really simplifies and automates the workflow. So we'll show you what we mean in a little bit with that. But it creates all the folders in the drive for you. Okay, so we're going to go paperless. You can still print, but teachers who are using Google Classroom find they're really on top of their grading because it's so easy. Let's keep going. So what Google Classroom is not? It is not a grade book. You can grade assignments, but it is not a grade book. It is not a student management system. It is not a robust management system or learning management. We have e-learning for that. It is designed to work with other programs that we already have in place. PowerSchool, PowerConnect.
What's so nice about Google Classroom is, yes, it does all of those things that Larissa has mentioned, but it is the light version of all of these things that are listed here on the screen. So no, it is not your grade book. No, it is not that connection with your parents. That is what your gradebook system is. That is what Parent Connect is.
So just to further clarify, what we really want to spend some time and make sure you have a feel for what Google Classroom is. So you have options when you're using the Google apps or Google Docs, having your students create work. You can have them share files with you. So we'll show that in a minute. So the student creates a Google Doc or a presentation, and they share it with you. This would be good for teachers who are just getting started. They may jump right into Google Classroom. They may want to make sure they understand and start using sharing files. let's take a minute and look at what that means. Okay, so okay. So here I am as a student, and I've logged on. I've opened Chrome, and I've logged on with my district Google account. I'm going to go to the apps and open the drive. This is the apps launcher, and open the drive. Students can, and these are my documents. Okay, I have a frogs essay. This is my classroom folder. We'll talk about that later. I'm in the new drive. I can click new. In the old drive, it would be create and a Google Doc. Okay, your students can do this from anywhere. They can do it from home, the library.
So what Larissa is doing is she went to the Google Drive, she's created a Google Doc, and she's just giving another option of how a student could create a document and share this with the teacher. And this could possibly be the step before just getting the student and the teacher familiar with using Google Drive.
So I'm a student, and I have to name my document. You'll see in Google Classroom, it names it for you. Frogs, Larissa. And then there's a share button in the upper right-hand corner, that blue share button. If I click on that, I can share my essay or my paragraph with my teacher. So I'm going to share it with myself, and we'll look at that later, and then send it. Now, as a teacher, I'm going to come to my drive. I'm the teacher. I'm going to go to my Google Apps, click on my drive, and I have a shared with me, or in the new drive, I have incoming. And I click, and I have access to that document. I can click on it and open it.
So this was a document, this was work that the student sent to the teacher, and they shared it through the Google Drive. But there were some things that the student had to do. The student had to go and create it, the student had to name their work, and there are some extra steps that the student did have to do that Google Classroom will do for you.
Exactly. Okay, so that was sharing files. What we're going to talk about today is Google Classroom, where the teacher creates the announcement, very simple, or an assignment. Students can create or use attached documents and then turn it in. And it's doing all of this process that we just showed you, like sharing, it's doing it automatically. It's naming the documents. Teachers can then view, grade, and return. There is a third option, and that is using e-learning. So you're in e-learning right now. You can take, it's a 6-hour PD on how to create your own environment. You would have your own classroom for your students. Teachers, this would be a more involved solution where you're creating the coursework. There's a lot of options for customizing your class. Students get the assignments. They can still work in Google Docs, but you would probably have them submit it through e-learning. At the end of this session, we can further compare these if there are questions about it. Okay, so I'm going to come out and let's, we're going to look at the student view of Google Classroom. Now I have these tabs open. At any time, a student can close a tab. Remember, Google saves all of their documents for them. So students, when they log onto the computer, they can go to classroom.google.com. If they are on a Chromebook, they can click on the Google Classroom icon, and it brings them to their home page. Here, the student is in 3 classes. If they hadn't joined a class, there would be a blue join. They just click right on the name of the class to go into the class. Now let's take a minute to look at this. We are on the first tab, which is the stream. And if I scroll down, you can see it's kind of like a social media, Facebook stream of assignments and comments and announcements. That's on the stream. You can see that as a student, I can leave a comment. And I'm going to scroll down. Here, there are comments from other students. There is also a classmates tab. When I click on that, I'll see other students in this class. Students, there is this mail icon, but they do not have the option to email. That is turned off for students. And the last tab is about. This is where the teacher can put information about the class. And this is the name of the folder. So we have, you can also put links here. As a student, I have the hot dogs in the upper left-hand corner. I can click on that. And if I am in multiple classes, I can just click to another class. So I can click to my writing class, and I would go right over to that. For elementary students, they may have a science class, a writing class, a reading class. This one is just the webinar. The students also have an assignments tab. Here it will show an overview of all their classes, what they have to do and what is done. They can also just look at one class and what is due this week.
Mm-hmm. That's so useful for a student for organizing their work.
Mm-hmm. So I'm going to come back. Again, that hot dogs and that home is really important, and click back on the class. So you can see that, so why don't we take a minute, and I'm just going to scroll down. If you can type in the Q&A something that you notice or wonder about Google Classroom, the student view. And then we'll look at an announcement and an assignment a little more closely.
So if you're not sure about getting back to that Q&A box, that was a link in task 2 where you joined the webinar and you clicked the link that said webinar Q&A, and then another window popped up. That was in e-learning. And then to type in a question or anything you notice or wonder, you would click on New Thread. Just so we can make sure, it's just a check, so we can check and make sure that you are understanding what's going on in the webinar. It's just a quick check, the same as what all of us do in our classrooms.
It's kind of exciting, you know, it's like we're not getting any mail, Rosie. I feel like I want to know what's happening out there with the people. So just check in, write a question, or let us know you're there, because it's been very quiet. We have a small group today. We have about, I think, 3 of you out there, which is totally perfect. But do check in and say you're here, type a question or just type hello, something you notice in Google Classroom. I'm going to continue on, and I'm in the stream, and I want to show you an announcement. So an announcement has nothing for the student to turn in. This is an example BrainPop lesson. Click on the link below and log into BrainPop. Watch the video, complete the handout in the video center. So you can put a link for your students. When they click on this, it will take them directly to this BrainPop. I'm going to do that now. Just move up so you just see that. And it So it comes right here, the student logs in. Now to get back to Google Classroom, you can see the tabs are open. They would just click back on that tab.
Oh, and I see something that was useful that you put into the steps. You did add the username and password for the student.
Right, right.
That was very useful.
Good, so that's a sample of an announcement. It's much easier than typing a website on the board and having them type it in. You can add files, you can add links, or this could be where you're having the students comment. Now, as a student, my teacher can do, and if I want to comment, the teacher can delete any of my comments, and they can also mute me. So if I'm being inappropriate, they can turn this off. So that's good to let your students know. So this is an announcement. Now there's another type of post that that we have here, and it is an assignment. So on this assignment, they can be very simple, they can be in depth. We're going for simple. Let's start out the easiest way we can with Google Classroom. Independent reading. I can summarize my reading book and describe the characters and setting. What do I have to do? Now, as a student, I'm going to actually click on this assignment because it's going to give me further options. So I'm going to click on it, and at the top you see instructions and your work. So I'm going to click over and read the instructions again. So I create a document, type your paragraph, and turn it in. Okay, I got that. Now I'm going to go to my work. Again, I'm on the student side. And there is a create button. So when I click create a document, that's what it said, look what happens. It creates a document with the name of the assignment, Larissa Independent Reading, and then the dash and the student name. Oh my gosh, this is so nice. This takes that just naming document, it's already done for the students and the teachers, which is really nice. It's created a Google Doc, and I'm going to go ahead and open it. So as a student, and it opens in a new tab into Google Docs. This is very similar to what we showed in the beginning. So
the difference here is it created the document, it named the document, and so now the student can do their work. It automatically saves their work. And when the student is finished,
the student can keep writing, and then, yeah, Rosie, when they're finished, they have that turn-in button. So
so now they have a turn-in button, and they don't have to click on the share button.
Exactly. So it's doing all of that back-end sharing for your students. So if the student wasn't done, they can just close it out, it saves it, and they would go back later on to Google Classroom, open it up again. When they are done, they can just click Turn In. It will take them to that assignment and they'll turn it in again. Okay. This, I just thought of that Wimpy Kid book because my son is reading it. These comments, they can leave a comment or not. They are emailed to the teacher, so it's kind of a nice way to know your students are turning something in. And then the student clicks Turn In. And they have now submitted this to their teacher. That means they cannot come back and keep working on it till the teacher returns it to them. If need be, they could unsubmit. So let's go back, and now I'm again here in my stream as my student, and I can see that I am done. Okay, I've turned that one in.
Which is so nice for a student because they get that green check mark, and it's so nice they get that visual check.
Should we look at their assignments again?
Yes.
So if they come back up to their assignments, they have a to do, and then that is done. Okay, so I'm going to come back out into the classroom. So we showed you an assignment and an announcement and how a student can comment. Now let's go and move to the teacher side. Now I am logged in as a teacher, and all the steps for creating this will be further in e-learning, but we're just doing the overview. Again, you have the stream. And you'll notice now that same assignment, I can see who is done and who is not done. I can see that there is the due date. And on this three little dots, if I wanted to edit anything, change the due date, I can edit or delete an assignment. If there was comments, I would see the comments my students made here. At any time, you can delete them. It's a nice way, though, for students to communicate. And obviously, you have to go through digital citizenship and how you would comment and what's appropriate. At any time, you can delete or mute a student. That means they would not be able to comment. So we have the stream like we talked about before. This time on the Students tab, I have all my students. I have a class code. So if you want to invite your students and have them type in the code, that's the code. Or I have the Invite tab. And this is where later in this PD, you'll create a contact group for your students, and you can just invite them all. That's best for elementary teachers who have multiple classes like a science, a math. You can also find one student at a time and add them if you get a student added in. Okay, so that's the Students tab. The About, again, is you can fill in about your class, your room number, any materials that you have. If you have websites to the book, whatever that you're going to use for the entire class, you can put that material here and press Save. Okay, I'm going to come back to the stream. You can also change the class theme, and that's nice to give students that feel for different classes with different themes. The teacher, like the students had upcoming assignments, the teacher also has a tab like that, and they can click and go to the assignments that they have given. Just like a student, there is the menu, the hot dogs up here, and a teacher can have multiple classes that they can flip between. Okay. So if I have my reading class, I can quickly flip to reading. And if I come back to this class, I can flip to
my other class. You know, and those hot dogs are very similar to what we use in our classrooms with our different folders. So if we get our students thinking about how we organize things in our classroom, then that's a nice organizational tool that Google Classroom creates.
For the teachers, they also have a list of assignments and ones that they still need to review and assignments they have already reviewed. Okay, so that feature is new for both students and teachers. Now, we had that assignment and we saw the student side of the independent reading. Let's look at it, what it looks like for a teacher. So I can click here, but if I want to see what was turned in, I'm going to go ahead and click on the one done. And it's going to show me the student that turned in the assignment. So I click on the student's name and it will give me access. So it shared that document with me and I can open up the document, read it. Again, it opens in a separate tab and then come back.
So you're just clicking on the different tabs at the top to go back and forth.
To go back. And here is where I can grade it. If you can keep it out of 100, a lot of teachers change it to a 1, 2, 3, 4. That's fine. I'm going to update that. And I can grade it here. I'm going to grade it as a 1, and I can leave a comment. I can leave a comment in the Google Doc, but also right here. Please finish.
And what's so nice with this is Larissa can give the student some feedback. The student can see the feedback and then they can resubmit the work.
So I'm going to post this. And then it checks it. I'm going to return it to the student. And it is now sent to the student, and the student can go in, open up that work, continue working on it, and then resubmit it to the teacher. So you have this back and forth workflow that is great for editing and working on documents. The student, the teacher, again, if they want to see who is not done, can click here. What I'm hearing from teachers is they are on their correcting like never before, because all of a sudden, like in the afternoon, they'll see someone submitted, they're clicking on it, they're giving comments, and they're sending it back to their students, and they really like that.
And their students are appreciating that feedback, so that way, I mean, that back and forth between the student and teacher is so much faster. It's the student work, the improvement of the student work is so nice.
Now, up here is where the teacher would click on an announcement to post an announcement. They would put in here, and they can attach links, other documents. If they have multiple classes, they can just choose which class and then post. Here is where they would create an assignment. Again, they can add a due date or change the due date, and the title of the assignment and the description. And this, we have further information in the e-learning class, but just so you see where that's done for the teacher, just at the top of the stream. Okay, so we've seen the teacher side, the teacher view, and now we looked at the student view. So if you could take a minute and post any differences that you see between the student view and the teacher view in the discussion board, that would be great. Post a difference between the teacher and the student view, something you noticed. So again, just you're gonna post something a difference you saw between. Can we, let's see what some people have noticed. Okay, Joyce has, she noticed there's a, let's see, an overdue assignment alert. Megan, that how user-friendly the student page is. Yeah, I think that, and that it looks like social media, and that would be motivating. I agree. The teacher, Kelly, the teacher view has the ability to monitor, delete, mute. Exactly. Okay, so I'm going to come back out of this, and I'm going to go back to the student view. Or I'm sorry, the teacher. I'm in the Google Classroom, and I want to show you, we commented that it manages the organization in your drive, and I want to show you what that means. So for a teacher or student, it's the same thing. If I come up to the hot dogs and click on home, I can see all my classes. So I see the classes I'm in or other classes. Each of these has the name and has a drive here, a folder. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that folder, and it's going to open my Google Drive. And in my Google Drive, I have all of my documents, and it creates now a classroom folder for the teacher and the students. I have a lot of classes, so it's going to look like when I open it up, I have a folder for each of the classes. Let me go over to the students and show what they have. I'm going to click on home and click on a student. So a teacher and a student will have that classroom folder, and for each class that they are in, they have a folder.
And we just want you to understand that this is a folder that Google Classroom automatically creates. And every time a student is invited to a different class in Google Classroom, it automatically creates these folders underneath Classroom. So that is nothing that you as the teacher need to create for the student.
Now, inside that folder, so we were in this Google Classroom, if I open that folder, here are all my documents that, here was that independent reading, and these are ones that I've had from before. So the student has all those documents. They don't need to come here, but it's all done for them. They'll have access to all those documents after Google Classroom. This is in their drive permanently. And the teacher didn't have to set up the sharing, set up the naming.
Yeah, so that's what we really try to stress is the automatic setting up, the ease of use, one-stop shopping. Everything is created for you, and it's so the ease of getting everything set up for you as the teacher with Google Classroom.
Nice. So that is the documents, and that opened a drive, another tab. So if I want to go to Classroom, I just click back on Classroom. Often students will click on the folder instead of the class name, just so you know that's where they go to their drive. But they just look up here and look for Google Classroom. Okay, so we have gone over the student view. We've talked about Google Classroom, what it is, what it isn't. We've compared Google Classroom. I'm going to come back to our original we have compared Google Classroom. We've looked at the student view, the teacher view. That last option we talked about for e-learning, I'll just go quickly into that. We have a chart that compares e-learning. So this would be really geared more for some of you out there that are high school teachers. Although it is open to anyone, we usually suggest like this is for 7th through 12th grade teachers. You have a choice of using e-learning for a learning management system or Google Classroom, which is more the light version that we've just showed you. You can do a lot of the same things, set assignments, get work, return work. E-learning has more capability where you could monitor their time, send emails, use the settings. So we just wanted to make sure that you're aware of that. So that is more kind of the next step up would be e-learning. Some teachers have started in Google Classroom and then they'll look into e-learning. Some have started in sharing files and now they're moving into Google Classroom. So that can be fluid, whatever you feel comfortable with. Now, that really is what we had for our webinar. We wanted to end a little early so you could have time to now make sure you feel comfortable in the rest of the e-learning class. If you could post in the discussion board one thing you learned or one question you have. And then the rest of the time you can go to the other tasks, start looking at the tasks in e-learning. You do have a week to complete that, like the other online e-learning classes. I'm just going to pull it up to show the class. So the class will go through then with videos to create a class, create an announcement, create an assignment, and then invites students. Like if you have any questions, you can, always post to the discussion board, you can email us also.
But like in the question board right now, if you are wondering, will Google Classroom do such and such? This is a perfect time while you have Larissa and I here, or I heard Google Classroom will do, and you're just wondering and you want to just touch base with us while you have both of us here. If you want to post it, we could give you a quick answer if we happen to know the answer. And so that's why we just wanted to try to provide everyone a chance during the webinar.
I see Carla Rivera's out there, and we have had other Carla, I think you're first or second grade teacher, and some of those teachers have thought they would use Google Classroom possibly more for enrichment for a few students. So that is a possibility. Usually we suggest Google Classroom for grade 3 and up. Joyce, I see that you're thinking of how an administrator could use. Yes, that is great. And coaches, we've had coaches create classrooms to disseminate material. And if you could definitely use it as an administrator. We'd be happy to help but forth for those documents.
And we've had coaches use it for their grade level meetings. So for any type of meetings, this is where they take their notes, share their notes. So this is a collaborative sort of place that they can plan, meet, and as Larissa said, share their information.
Mm-hmm. Some might still use the drive and just share a folder. Either way, it's all good. This gives teachers exposure to Google Classroom, which is nice. So again, we want to thank you, and we'll be watching the discussion board, and we'll be here until 9 if you want to continue on. And just make sure you don't have any questions, or if you have some, post it. But we want to thank you for coming in and watching the webinar.
Okay, thanks for coming.
I'm going to mute until we have a question. I just saw a post about whether the webinar will still be available. We will, under this webinar, task 2, we will put the video for the AM and the PM session probably tomorrow. So that will be available for you. Thank you for attending, and we'll see you online in the e-learning class. I am going to stop the broadcast, and I hope you guys have a good day. Thanks again.